Alright, today could be my most important severe weather coverage of the year because we have Hurricane Idalia that is going to hit tomorrow morning, most likely as a Category 2 or 3 hurricane. So we're going to be breaking that all out down today, as well as what temperatures are going to look like for the entire country, some severe storms that are going to be popping up, and much more. So let's go ahead and get right into it. So starting off with the National Hurricane Center. So over here we have a disturbance that has a 20% chance to form the next 48 hours and a 50% chance to form the next 7 days. But that is most likely not going to hit America, and it's just going to go off into the Atlantic Ocean. We have Tropical Depression 11, which is going to fizzle out very soon and just become a little floating thing out here hurting the fish. We do have Hurricane Franklin that is expected to go up and hit Iceland, but luckily by that point it'll only be a tropical storm. But at one point today, Franklin was a Category 4 hurricane, which is pretty crazy, but it has downgraded now to a Category 3, I do believe. And then obviously the main point of concern, Hurricane Idalia. Right now it is only a Category 1 hurricane, but is expected to intensify very quickly and make landfall as a low-end to moderate Category 3 hurricane with winds of over 120 miles an hour possible. So definitely look out for that here in Florida. Honestly, if you're for pretty much the entire state of Florida, you should already be out of there. But if you're not, definitely do that now or get a plan in place and get ready to get underground for the next couple days. I'm sure your phones have went off several times if you live down here with alerts about the hurricane that's coming. But yeah, they weren't lying. So moving on to the Eastern Pacific, we do have post-tropical cyclone Irwin, but it's not really going to do anything. And then moving on to the Central Pacific, we do have a disturbance that has a 10% chance to form the next 48 hours and a 10% chance to form the next 7 days. This is most likely not going to do anything at all. Even if it does form, it's not going to hit America. So we're not too worried about that. Moving on to the Storm Prediction Center today, we have two different slight risks of severe weather. It's been a while since we've seen that. One is up here in the northwest with Idaho and Montana, and then one is down here in Florida, obviously, for a hurricane that's coming. So let's go ahead and break down the threats. Now, starting off with the tornado threat for today into tomorrow night, or into tonight, into tomorrow morning, we have a 2% risk of a tornado for pretty much the entire state of Florida, unless you live in the Panhandle or very southeastern bits of Florida. And then we have a 5% risk of a tornado here in west central Florida, and this does include Tampa, so I'd definitely be on the lookout if I'm there. So moving on to the damaging wind threat, we have a 5% risk to see wind gusts of 60 miles an hour or higher up here in the northwest, and a 15% chance to see that over here in the Idaho-Montana border, which is what's driving our slight risk up there. As we can see, we do have the city of Missoula up there, if I'm pronouncing that right. Sorry if I'm not. And then we have a 5% risk of seeing wind gusts of 60 miles an hour or higher down here in Florida today, so look out for that. This also includes southeastern parts of Georgia. So definitely look out here today for some damaging winds up to 60, maybe even 70 miles an hour possible. Hail threat for today, we do have a 5% risk of hail of 1 inch or larger up here in the northwest, so look out for that if you're in that region. That includes Spokane, Missoula, once again, Lewiston, Opportunity, and Pullman, so look out in that region. Moving on to tomorrow, this is whenever the hurricane's going to be in full force. We do have a slight risk of severe weather down here in the southeast that could definitely get upgraded to an enhanced risk. It's not out of the question, but it's not guaranteed either. So let's go and break down the threats that this brings. Starting off with a tornado threat for tomorrow, we have a 2% risk of a tornado that extends all the way down from Tampa, Orlando, and Melbourne, all the way up into North Carolina. And then in our Brown region, we have a 5% risk of a tornado. And this actually includes some even more populated areas. This includes Charleston, South Carolina, Savannah, Georgia, Gainesville, Florida, as well as Orlando, Florida, Jacksonville, Florida, Wilmington, North Carolina, and more. So definitely look out if you are in the southeast tomorrow for some tornadoes. Moving on to the damaging wind threat, we have a 5% risk of wind gusts of 60 miles an hour or higher down here in the southeast, so look out for that. Hail threat, very low as of right now for tomorrow. So going into Thursday here, we do not have any marginal risks yet, so nothing to cover there. Moving on to the excessive rainfall outlook, today we have a 40% risk, a moderate risk of seeing flash flooding today in very rural areas of the southern panhandle of Florida here. This does include Apalachicola as well as the Apalachicola National Forest, St. Mark's Natural Wildlife Refuge, and St. Mark's Wilderness. I don't know what they're trying to spell there. But yeah, definitely look out if you're in this region. It is a very rural area in Georgia, like I said, or in Florida rather. But definitely look out for it still. We do have a slight risk as well, the 15% risk of flash flooding that extends all the way down to Cape Coral, all the way up into southwestern bits of Georgia and the panhandle of Florida. And then we have another slight risk today that extends all the way out from Atlanta and even into very eastern bits of Alabama here. And it goes all the way up into the northeast, into New York. This is a huge slight risk of flash flooding. That's once again a 15% risk. And then we have another slight risk today up here in the northwest. It's not stopping. 15% risk of flash flooding today if you're in this region. That once again includes Spokane. So, moving into tomorrow, we have another moderate risk of flash flooding. This one's way more concerning too. It extends all the way from Jacksonville, almost Tallahassee, Gainesville, Florida, especially. And it goes all the way up here across the East Coast, all the way up into Wilmington and Jacksonville, North Carolina. That's kind of funny. It starts at near Jackson. Wait, what? What was I thinking? Oh yeah, it does start. Okay, it starts at Jacksonville, Florida, and it goes up to Jacksonville, North Carolina. Anyway, that was a dumb joke. I'm sorry. We do have a slight risk tomorrow as well, extending all the way from Tampa and other parts of Florida here, including Tallahassee, all the way up almost to Raleigh, North Carolina, but also Greenville, North Carolina. So look out for that tomorrow. Then Thursday tomorrow we also have I thought we had another slight risk. No, we don't. My bad. Moving into Thursday, we have another slight risk of flash flooding. This will be the remnants of Hurricane Idalia. This includes Jacksonville, Wilmington, Goldsboro, Rocky Mount, Greenville, and more. So look out for that on Thursday. That's a 15% risk of flash flooding. Moving into Friday here, we do only have a marginal risk as of right now. Saturday, same thing, just 2 marginal risks. So, Climate Prediction Center, this is ridiculous, dude. Our heat dome is not going away anytime soon. In fact, it hasn't even really started back up again yet. It started getting cooler outside, but trust me, it is going to get hot again. So we have a massive dark red area here that's going to be extremely above average temperatures, anywhere from an 80% chance to 90% chance to see above average temps. That extends all the way from Texas up into the upper Midwest and even into almost to the border. So I would definitely be looking out if I'm anywhere in this dark red region from September 4th to September 8th. This is 6 to 10 day temperature outlook, by the way. It is going to get hot again. Even the pink, honestly, which extends over like the entirety of it's ridiculous, man. The pink area, very hot still, 70 to 80% chance to see above average temperatures. Even the dark red, that's a 60 to 70% chance to see above average temperatures. So really, unless you're in like the very western parts of the U.S., from September 4th to September 8th, it's gonna be hot. It's not showing signs of going away. Day 6 to 10 precipitation outlook, that is once again from September 4th to September 8th. We're going to see some very below average precipitation here in the Four Corners states, but that's okay because the temperatures aren't going to be quite as hot here, but they still are going to be above average, so we might see some drought conditions down here. And then we also have a below average area of precipitation down here for the southeast, but that is all right with you guys, I'm assuming, since a hurricane is going to hit tomorrow. So you probably won't need any more rain anyway. And then we do have a above average area of precipitation here up here in the northwest. So look out for that. And then moving on to the day 8 to 14 outlooks, that's September 6th to September 12th. Our heat dome has not crashed yet by this point, unfortunately. I don't know what to tell you guys. Dark red area, very, very hot. This includes North Texas, Oklahoma, southern Kansas, eastern New Mexico here, as well as western Arkansas, and very, very northwestern bits of Louisiana there. But realistically, nobody watching this video lives in that tiny sliver of an area. Yeah, that's the day to 14% temperature outlook. Day 8 to 14 precipitation outlook. The drought will continue here in the Four Corners states, also expand into Texas, Oklahoma, and Kansas, which are going to be hit very hard by the heat. Death Valley as well, very below average precipitation, and it's always hot in Death Valley, man. And then Las Vegas, obviously in Nevada. We got Colorado, Wyoming, a little bit of those states up there. So look out for that. Moving on to the watch, warning, and advisory display. We do have some, I believe, actually, I don't even know what, are these actually red flag warnings? Because that's a lot of red flag warnings. Okay, I think they are. We have red flag warnings in effect here for parts of the deep south of East Texas all the way into central Mississippi and eastern Mississippi. What that means is that there is a decent chance of a fire getting started here, a wildfire, so make sure not to burn anything if you're down here in this region today. And then we do have some excessive heat warnings, some heat advisories down here in the desert southwest. Very, very hot there, obviously. I know it's always very hot, but very hot today specifically. Down here in Florida, we got storm surge watches and warnings in effect. You could see up to 15 feet of storm surge. That's like the biggest threat with this hurricane, especially here if you live in west central Florida. You could see upwards to 15 feet of storm surge as of right now, it's looking like, because we are going to have a supermoon tonight, which are going to affect the tides and be very bad. We have hurricane watches and warnings in effect, obviously, and then even tropical storm watches and warnings up in effect up into South Carolina a little bit. So I would definitely be looking out if I am in that region there. So, moving on to... So this is something that I usually don't do, but we're going to be taking a look at the radar for the hurricane here and what the track is looking like as of right now. So right now is a Category 2 hurricane out here and is going to head up north and towards the east, most likely become a Category 3 hurricane, but then fizzle out just a little bit on impact, so maybe a high-end Category 2 hurricane or a low-end Category 3. But right here, it's looking like it's going to have 115-mile-per-hour winds, slow down a little bit, hit anywhere in this cone of uncertainty. That's what they like to call it. Anywhere in this like line here, you have a chance to see the eye of Hurricane Idalia impact you. But just if you're not, even if you're not inside of that, that doesn't mean you're not going to get hit by the hurricane. That just means you're most likely not going to get hit by the eye. But you still could, you know. So definitely look out anywhere in Florida for this. Obviously, once again, you don't need to be in the cone to get affected by this at all. In fact, all the way down into like south central Florida, all the way down there is almost guaranteed to get hit by some part of the hurricane. So yeah, I just want to make that clear real quick, that just because you're not in the cone doesn't mean you're not in the threat. And then it should become a Category 1 hurricane by the time it hits Georgia here, but it is going to be a high-end Category 1 with 85-mile-an-hour winds. And then it's going to go up to the north and the east and head into the Carolinas, specifically South Carolina a lot. Once it reaches Charleston, South Carolina, it will just be a tropical storm, but that's still 60-mile-an-hour wind, so I'd be looking out for that. And then it's set to head off to the ocean here and then actually cross Hurricane Franklin, which is a thing right now. So, yeah, if you guys did enjoy this video, then make sure to like and subscribe. This is a pretty big one. Like I said, could be one of the most important ones on my channel so far. So definitely look out for that, and I'll see y'all in the next one.